They took an icon of American power and removed its heart. The familiar Black Hawk helicopter silhouette still stands, but the cockpit is gone. In its place is a cold, hollow core of sensors, servos, and code, a machine that flies, fights, and thinks without a crew. This is the U-Hawk, Sikorsky's decisive transformation of the trusted UH-60L into the world's first fully autonomous combat and utility helicopter. It is not built to carry people. It is built only to carry risk, asserting a technological dominance that shames and exposes the weakness of every adversary who believed they understood the rules of the battlefield. The U-Hawk program signals a powerful and final break from the past, where the original Black Hawk represented human courage under fire. The U-Hawk represents pure, unstoppable calculation. It is the shift from bravery as a necessary cost to automation as a choice of total control. By removing the cockpit, engineers eliminated the single element that always limited what a helicopter could do: the fragile human body. This single decision was the moment the United States asserted its overwhelming superiority in the rotorcraft world. This change means the enemy's reliance on the moral hesitation of risking human lives completely evaporates. The US and its allies can now act decisively without exposing personnel, leading to faster, bolder, and more dominant operational decisions in high-stakes areas. This is American engineering rewriting the very rules of engagement permanently, ensuring control is absolute and leaving no doubt about the final outcome. The very essence of this dominance is the Matrix Autonomy Suite. This is the brain of the new machine, the same system that flawlessly flew a Black Hawk with absolutely no pilot input during extensive test flights. It is not a simple autopilot, it is artificial intelligence. Integrated with a sophisticated third-generation fly-by-wire system, Matrix gives the U-Hawk the expert, instantaneous reflexes of a seasoned crew, but it adds the flawless, unemotional judgment of an algorithm trained on years of perfect flight data. This autonomy suite gives the U-Hawk true decision-making intelligence. It can take off, navigate complex and dangerous terrain, avoid threats, and land with precision, all by itself, with a calm efficiency that no human could ever match. This perfection of automated judgment is the first and most profound humiliation delivered to the enemy, whose disorganized, human-led chaos stands in humiliating contrast to American engineered order. The airframe itself was rigorously optimized for this new purpose of pure mission dominance. The removal of pilot seats, control panels, and all necessary life support systems resulted in a massive practical gain. The U-Hawk gained roughly 25% more usable cargo volume.
Before we get to that, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help. So I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and help me out.
This space is no longer just air. It is now critical mission real estate, directly translating into a massive increase in raw payload capacity. The U-Hawk can now lift over 10,000 pounds in total. This massive capacity increase is a direct, crushing threat to any adversary's supply lines and any anti-access strategy they hope to employ, as the ability to move materiel without risk is now utterly decisive. The enlarged cargo bay can now load critical systems that a crude Black Hawk could never have carried, including unmanned ground vehicles, heavy HIMARS rocket pods, or even large, ship-killing naval strike missiles. The Ghostbird can deploy loitering munitions and swarms of drones directly from its internal bay, instantly turning the silent helicopter into a flying distributed arsenal. Every inch of space once reserved for the limited human element now serves the uncompromising mission of dominance and unquestionable control, establishing a superior level of competence and order that aligns precisely with the audience's expectation of American capability. Beyond its massive payload, the simple act of removing the human cockpit and all its related gear shed hundreds of pounds of unnecessary weight. This freed up crucial space, which was immediately utilized for larger fuel reserves. The result is an astonishing level of persistence and range that the enemy simply cannot compete with. A self-deployment range of up to 1,600 nautical miles. It can fly for over 14 hours without a single stop for refueling. Traditional air mobility was limited by fragile human biology. Crews would fatigue and require rest. The U-Hawk knows no fatigue, requires no sleep, and feels no need for rest. It doesn't tire, and it doesn't flinch. This sheer mechanical persistence is a crushing psychological blow to an enemy already struggling with their own limits and logistical failures. They simply cannot maintain a defense against a machine that never stops. This relentless endurance ensures that US control is inevitable, regardless of the time required, fueling the audience's dopamine anticipation for the inevitable enemy defeat. The moment the U-Hawk was fully demonstrated, the strategic reality of the battlefield changed forever. During its first live fire test, observers gave it a new nickname, the Ghostbird. It earned this name because it moved through the air silent, untraceable, and lethally precise. This demonstration created a moment of intense anticipation, showing the stakes and the terrifying unknown power of the new platform before the ultimate, decisive outcome. The U-Hawk flew through a simulated threat corridor full of intense electronic jamming and aggressive radar locks. Yet, it passed completely unnoticed, a terrifying near miss for the simulated enemy. Moments later, precision-guided munitions struck every designated target in a perfect sequence, delivering smaller wins before the final, crushing resolution. The enemy, paralyzed by the speed and silence, never saw it coming. A perfect humiliation. The stealth of the U-Hawk is a profound humiliation for any adversary relying on outdated radar technology to protect their assets. By stripping the cockpit, designers eliminated one of the largest radar reflective surfaces on the aircraft. Its angular, compact, and heavily armored nose section reduces its radar cross-section and presents almost no weak points for enemy fire. New rotor blade designs reduce its acoustic signature to levels that enemy sensors cannot distinguish from ambient wind noise. To enemy systems, the U-Hawk does not appear as an aircraft at all. It is nothing more than a glitch, a brief anomaly, gone before analysis can even begin, a terrorizing absence of information. This ability to vanish and reappear only at the moment of decisive action is what terrifies adversaries and exposes their inability to adapt. The U-Hawk is specifically designed for contested logistics, missions where traditional, crewed aircraft cannot survive and where the enemy believes they hold the advantage. The Ghostbird can fly into the most dangerous zones through anti-aircraft envelopes and radar-saturated skies, without a single human life aboard. This capability introduces a constant, draining uncertainty for the enemy, fulfilling the intermittent reward loop.
Before we get to that, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help. So I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and help me out.
The core of its combat superiority is the autonomy is reaction principle. The Matrix system gives the U-Hawk superhuman reaction speed. It processes sensor data and develops countermeasures in milliseconds. Where human pilots need precious seconds to decide and react, the U-Hawk decides in milliseconds. This pure, relentless speed, which the enemy cannot match, is the new weapon, asserting technological dominance over human frailty and the inherent slowness of an uncoordinated enemy. The U-Hawk's self-correction capability is the ultimate demonstration of American technological control. If enemy radar locks on, the system instantly shifts the aircraft's altitude and heading autonomously, shedding the lock in a flash. If GPS signals are jammed, a common enemy tactic, the U-Hawk simply switches without fail to vision-based navigation, refusing to be blinded. If communications drop, it does not freeze or panic. It continues the mission, calmly rerouting around jamming and replanning its path if a designated waypoint becomes unsafe. It can achieve zero visibility flight, flying at ultra-low altitudes, guided not by fallible human eyesight, but by a perfect, fused stream of LiDAR and radar data. This enables high-risk insertions and evasive maneuvers that would be utterly impossible for any human pilot to coordinate manually, creating a relief loop for ground forces who know their supplies and firepower will arrive despite the heaviest enemy fire. Commanders watch the U-Hawk perform the spectacular ghost drift, an evasive maneuver where the aircraft appears to vanish completely between enemy sensor sweeps by rapidly altering its speed, altitude, and radar signature. This capability gives it a near supernatural survivability, highlighting the narrow margins and fragile timing of enemy failure. In one test, the U-Hawk entered a jamming saturated red zone, executed a perfect payload drop on a target, and exited without a single detection event. The U-Hawk simply took what it needed and gave nothing back. This ability to penetrate and exit hostile airspace, where every shot fired at it risks nothing more than hardware, is a massive and decisive shift in military power. It eliminates the emotional component of war that adversaries have always tried to exploit, asserting a decisive, inevitable technological victory and fulfilling the tribal male-male dynamic where the adversary is humiliated. The strategic outcome of the U-Hawk's deployment is the total, unmistakable exposure of enemy weakness. Their anti-access strategies, which depend on making certain geographic areas too dangerous for crewed aircraft, now lose all effectiveness. The U-Hawk is specifically designed to fly into areas too dangerous for human life. The enemy is now forced into a state of continuous, draining uncertainty. Every time their radar pings a U-Hawk, they must face a paralyzing set of questions. Is it just a transport moving critical supplies? Is it a decoy intended to draw fire? Or is it a fully armed drone equipped with standoff missiles? This state of scarcity and overload, adversary chaos versus decisive U.S. action, is the new psychological front. The enemy is paralyzed by not knowing the true nature of the threat. In this moment of confusion, the U.S. has already secured a massive psychological victory. The existence of the U-Hawk also brings total humiliation to any enemy who sought to target logistical bottlenecks to slow U.S. operations. Traditional supply lines are vulnerable because they rely on predictable human routes and predictable pilot fatigue. The U-Hawk's relentless endurance and perfect autonomy enable dispersed operations. A network of these autonomous aircraft can keep remote bases supplied indefinitely, a demonstration of an escalation and novelty in logistics. Each helicopter becomes a flying node, part of a self-healing logistical web that cannot be broken. In remote regions where distance and terrain cripple conventional air mobility, the U-Hawk makes sustained, dominating presence possible. The enemy's attempts to slow the U.S. operational tempo are met with the tireless precision of a machine that simply continues the mission. In a situation where a manned Black Hawk would hesitate because the risk to the crew is too high, the U-Hawk does not. It flies through fire to drop microdrones, releases loitering munitions to suppress enemy fire, and delivers critical supplies, all without a single human exposed. It trades risk for pure, decisive opportunity, establishing a superior level of competence and order, which aligns directly with the audience's identity binding. This machine is not merely a tool, it is the inevitable backbone of future contested logistics doctrine. The U.S. military can project its power farther with fewer human risks than ever before. Enemy anti-access efforts are defeated when there are no pilots to target and no forward operating bases to necessarily destroy. The U-Hawk is a tremendous force multiplier. Its enlarged payload bay can carry reconnaissance drones and small air-launched unmanned aerial vehicles. It can deploy powerful electronic warfare pods mid-flight, turning itself into an airborne jammer to blind enemy sensors or disrupt their critical communications. This integration creates a layered approach to battlefield presence. It launches smaller systems, moves heavy assets, and serves as a mobile command hub for autonomous ground vehicles. This is an escalation in capability that the enemy cannot match. The U-Hawk's versatility ensures long-term, unquestionable dominance. Its software-defined core means its entire operational behavior can be updated overnight. One day, it can serve as a strike enabler, deploying loitering munitions with perfect precision. The next day, it can be an electronic warfare platform, orbiting quietly with powerful jamming payloads. This flexibility gives ground commanders an autonomous, always available force multiplier that can adapt instantly. This decisive adaptability is a crucial strategic shift, setting a new rituality for modern operations. Recurring, automated, and relentless patrols that show the enemy no weakness. The U-Hawk's success has launched a global, irreversible strategic shift across all military powers. Defense analysts call it a turning point where rotorcraft finally joined the definitive autonomy race. The U-Hawk gives its operators a critical, insurmountable lead. The question for the world is no longer if autonomy will dominate, but who will master it first. The stakes for the US are clear. Success will permanently redefine air power doctrine. The balance shifts decisively to those who can automate complexity without sacrificing an inch of precision. This is the ultimate expression of US competence and order. Zero risk, maximum return. The machine is not the end of the pilot. It is the next step of piloting itself. The same discipline, courage, and mastery that define generations of aviators are now encoded into systems capable of perpetuating their legacy indefinitely. The U-Hawk is the memory of human flight digitized. In the end, its story is simple but profound. The Black Hawk taught the world what reliability looked like. The U-Hawk teaches the world what adaptation looks like. It is the meeting point between legacy and innovation, where proven hardware meets adaptive intelligence. It's not the first unmanned helicopter, but it's the first that truly feels inevitable, a blueprint, not a prototype. It is a living example of how to merge trust and technology, human design and machine decision. It stands at the intersection of history and future, a rotorcraft that embodies the shift from manned control to coordinated management. Every rivet still tells the story of the original Black Hawk, but every circuit hums with the pulse of the future. The U-Hawk isn't just another aircraft. It's a declaration of principle that autonomy, when grounded in legacy, doesn't erase the past. It weaponizes it for the future. It's the shape of air power's next century, built on the bones of the last one, flying without fear and carrying forward the unspoken promise that progress should never cost another human life. This enduring, overwhelming technological threat represents a permanent cliffhanger for our adversaries, who must now live with the certainty that this Ghostbird is always watching, always ready, and always operating with perfect, tireless competence. What you've seen is only the beginning. America's power is just getting started. On your screen is the next video. Click the video, it opens right away, and you'll watch US jets and technology strike even harder.